Alright, it's that time of year again. Today we'll be looking at, in my opinion of course, the top 10 Transformers of 2023. As per usual, this will include official figures, third party, knockoffs, licensed third party, all that good stuff. So if any of that bothers you, get over it. I don't really have a worst figure of the year like I did last year with Toy World Night Orion. Everything I got was, I think, pretty decent this year. At the very least, nothing pissed me off like that, so hey. So, like usual, we'll start with my runner-up list. First up is the Cyber Era Soundwave. It's an MPM scale Dark of the Moon Soundwave, and this figure is awesome. I love the New Age Mista, and I was convinced that nothing would be able to top it, but this guy kinda sorta does. It's weird for me because there are elements of both that I prefer over the other. So like, to be honest, for me, they're kind of on the same level, but this guy's cool, and just some of the details, like the head, are so movie accurate. He's awesome. Even if he's not in my top 10, I had to mention him. Next up is Star Toys Blitzwing. This is a Masterpiece G1 Blitzwing, and I love this figure. He's a great triple changer. He looks very accurate to the show. I feel like he's everything you would want out of an MP Blitzwing, and I feel like this is the only MP Blitzwing I need. Sorry, Fans Toys. I highly recommend this guy, and kind of feel bad he's not in the actual top 10. Then next we have Mastermind Creations Optus Promenon. I think that's how you pronounce the last bit. I don't know. It's Stormbringer Optimus, so who cares? But this figure is great. He's a remold of the Optus Pexus, and this is the version that I wanted to begin with, so I love this guy. Like, the accessories are great, the figure looks awesome. I feel like he really takes everything that was fantastic, which was just about everything, from Pexus, and makes it even better, and I highly recommend this guy. You can't go wrong with getting him. Next is the Deformation Space Crimson Wings, aka G1 MP Starscream. This one was a curiosity purchase for me because I love the official MPs, and it was on sale on ShowZ for like $80, so I figured I'd go for it. And this guy is great. I'm not sure I like him more than the MP. I'm sure some people might give me some flack for that, but I still like the MP a lot. But I'd say he's pretty equal, and honestly, I don't mind keeping him just as an alternative MP G1 Starscream, especially if I want a Starscream to be more of an even height with MP36. The robot mode is stellar, the jet mode stellar. Transformation definitely isn't as fun as it could be, I suppose, but you can't really argue with the results. It's a great mold, and I highly recommend anyone get him, or maybe even the Skywarper Thundercracker, just because the base mold is so good. Then there's MP57 Skyfire, G1 cartoon Skyfire, and he's awesome. Great size, the robot mode is pretty much perfect. The jet mode is pretty spot on too. About the only thing I could really complain about him is some of the articulation, mostly with the joints in the legs, especially the ratchets in the hips. I just feel like there aren't enough spaces, so some of the leg poses can be a little awkward, and for me, about the only thing that looks natural is him just standing there. I know I'm kind of talking down on the figure, but the figure itself is fantastic. I love it. It's just that one thing is kind of critical and part of why it's not in the top 10. Then there is the Magnificent Mecha Nemesis Prime, a recolor of their Bumblebee movie Optimus, and it has all of the positives of that figure and more because this has new arms with better elbow joints. Plus the Nemesis Prime colors I think look great on this design, so very happy to get this one. Next up is the Fans Toys Hunk, aka G1 Masterpiece Brawn, and this is one I've been wanting for a while because it looks basically perfect as a Masterpiece Brawn. About my only real complaints with this guy is some of the articulation limitations. Like, he can definitely do the basics, maybe even a bit more than that, but some things that he's missing or doesn't do as well definitely stand out. Both modes are great. The transformation I think is fine. I like this guy a lot. He's pretty cool. And then last on this list, I can't remember what the technical third-party name is for this one, but it's the Black Apple Ironhide. And it's just funny, in my top 10 Transformers of 2022, I mentioned how it'd be cool if this guy could come out, and then he did, kind of surprising everybody. And I like this guy a lot. My thing is, I feel like he kind of has a bit too much holding him back from being in the top 10 for me, just because I do find some of the articulation in the legs to be a bit weird. Whether it was a necessity or not, the softer plastic just isn't really the best. I don't know. Then of course there is the paint scratching and flaking easily, especially on the abdomen and on the cannons, most specifically the left arm cannon. Like, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed with this guy. Hell, if I'm being honest, I haven't even transformed this guy yet. He doesn't come with instructions, and I've heard it's quite a pain, so I don't want to attempt it myself just in case something breaks. Then I haven't really found a YouTube video that is good enough to really use as a basis to go by. As of right now though, he looks great. Like, he's the best looking Ironhide out there, especially as a transforming figure. And the fact that it even exists just because we thought this figure was never coming out is awesome, and that's why it deserves to be mentioned, I feel. It just kind of sucks that there's a decent bit that is, in my opinion, holding it back. But to be honest too, it's one that I need to mess with a bit more. Now we're moving into the top 10 proper. At number 10, there is Studio Series Rise of the Beast Voyager Cheetor. Now, just to get it out of the way, he definitely has issues, from the drab paint job, or lack of a paint job, and the beast mode looking a bit odd and lacking in articulation. There's definitely room for improvement, but I have had a lot of fun with this guy. I got him in February of 2023, and he's one I messed with for just so long, so consistently. I love this design for Cheetor, and I thought this figure was just a ton of fun. Just with the amount of fun I had to include him here. Sitting at number 9 is Legacy Evolution Voyager Tarn. I definitely feel that he is one of the strongest mainline releases that we've had in a good little while. The only real issue I think Tarn has is the hands being exposed, and even then, that doesn't bug me. I do think for a general retail mainline kind of figure that he's pretty stellar. The robot mode, great, very articulated, does a great job at translating the design into a figure, has practically no kibble, and the tank mode I think is pretty good. Again, the hands are a thing, but like, they don't bug me, and I think people kind of overblow them because like, I don't really notice them when I'm messing with the figure. And it translated into a pretty damn cool bludgeon toy as well. One that's arguably better, but I'm gonna stick with Tarn here at this spot. At number 8 is the Unique Toys Nero Clear version. I hesitated putting him on this list just because Nero was my number 1 figure of 2021, and then I had the KO of Nero in my 2022 top 10, but this is another one that I've had a lot of fun with. In Age of Extinction, I really dug the whole Transformium transformation thing, and I really liked that this figure was referencing that. This specifically referencing this scene here.
I modeled Galvatron after Optimus Prime. Why does he keep looking like Megatron?
I think the clear plastic looks good, and then the paint apps with the blue and whatnot, kind of having that transitional look. I dig this a lot, but the robot mode looks great with it. The truck mode isn't really affected by it. You get some weird bits of blue here and there, but otherwise it's the same truck mode. I think Unique Toys Nero is a work of art. I think it's their best movie figure, and I really like this version. Had to include it. Then at number 7, there's the Transart Transmetal Tarantulas. Tarantulas is definitely one of the best Beast Wars characters, and the Transmetal design for him is awesome. I love it. I was very happy to see that Transart was making this guy. He definitely is up there as one of, maybe even their best figure. I love this thing. I think it looks great. Love the paint, the details. The robot mode is spot on. The spider mode is pretty spot on. I even dig the sort of motorcycle spider look. It's a, dare I say, perfect Transmetal Tarantulas. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, definitely get this guy if you're a Beast Wars fan or just a Tarantulas fan. Then at number 6 is one that came out pretty damn close to the end of the year, Metagate Shatter. Of course, this is a full-on triple changing Shatter from the Bumblebee movie, and this thing is so cool. The robot mode, I'll just say it, I think it's perfect. Like, there's really nothing I can think of that's really an issue because it doesn't really have any kibble. The details are a near perfect match to the movie, but the only thing that's an issue is that parts on her that are white should be more of a gray, but I feel like that's a small enough issue that I can let it slide. And I will admit, the alternate modes definitely have issues. Like, the car is way chunkier than it should be. The jet mode, while pretty good on the whole, is made out of car parts, and don't get me wrong, that's cool from an engineering standpoint, the way they were able to reuse different shapes and stuff from one mode into the other. It's just the fact that it's not particularly accurate. Again, it's the fact that it can do it is why I let it slide. The fact that it turns from a recognizable car into a recognizable jet into this extremely movie accurate robot mode is stunning. I highly recommend getting her. At number 5 is the 30DLX The Last Night Optimus Prime. You guys should all know by now that I love 30, and this Optimus is pretty stellar. It does a great job of translating the Night Prime from Age of Extinction and The Last Night, and you know, it's incredible in the details, the paint. About the only issue I could really have is like replacing the hands can be a little annoying, and I feel like he could have had a few more accessories, and that one of the ones that he has, the shield, should have done a bit more, but otherwise this is a damn near perfect figure. It's stunning to look at. Again, just the details and paint, just incredible. Extremely accurate version of a very hard to design to make work in plastic, even though third parties are doing a pretty good job of that lately. So yeah, just for all of that, I think this guy deserves the number 5 spot. At number 4 is the Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Optimus Primal. I think this is an extremely fun figure. It's a lot like Cheetor, where I've just had so much fun with this guy. The gorilla mode, while the lower half is definitely lacking in articulation, I think it's great, and then just a robot mode is so cool. About the biggest issue it has is just the fact that it's based more so off of the concept art, and I don't really hold that against the figure, just given the nature of how Rise of the Beast came out, when the toys were supposed to come out, the 1-year delay with the movie, blah blah blah. For me, with these Rise of the Beast toys, with the exception of maybe Bumblebee and Optimus, I would honestly just kind of consider them part of the concept art series that has been introduced, or consider them like proto concept art, just because they all have those issues. But Optimus Primal is so much fun. Like, I love the swords. The fact that he comes with the transwarp key is pretty freaking cool. He comes with the chains that you can attach to the swords that he had in the first trailer, or you can give it the battle trap, and he came with an extra axe for Optimus from the movie. I think it's a pretty decent little package. Primal's a fantastic figure. I really don't have too many complaints with him. He's awesome. Alright, we're up to the top 3, and at number 3 is the Legacy Evolution Commander Class Armada Optimus Prime. This is kind of a dream figure, if I'm being completely honest. Armada Optimus Prime was my first Optimus Prime toy, and I look back on that thing very fondly, even though he's not the greatest. I got the third-party Fans Hobby figure, and that thing is very cool. I don't really like the core robot of it, but I think the combined form is great. But it's very stylized, and I never really liked that. Again, I'm not really the biggest fan of the core robot. But this Legacy Optimus is about everything I could want from a Armada Optimus Prime, to the point where, to me, this is damn near like, I kind of don't like when people say this, but it's kind of just a masterpiece that's at retail. Like, this thing is so freaking good, because the core robot mode is stunning. I freaking love it. It's the core robot that I've always wanted for an Armada Prime. And the trailer is nice just because, one, it actually does something with the combined mode, but it doesn't do an accurate base mode, or at least that I've seen. Maybe someone's figured one out. So it does a different base mode, but that's kind of whatever. Although I don't think it's too bad, to be completely honest. But then, of course, the combined mode is where this figure really shines. Just to get a show accurate combined form that's articulated, you know, the fact that this thing can pose and it looks as good as it does. It's awesome. It's incredible. This figure has been pretty hyped throughout the whole year, and there is a good reason why. He could be the top figure of the year. It's just that, unfortunately for him, there's some stuff that I am a bit more biased towards to take the top 2 spots. Speaking of those, moving on up to number 2 is the MPM 14 Masterpiece Movie Bone Crusher. This guy is so freaking good, y'all. The MPMs just keep getting better and better. I swear that they've been on a steady roll since MPM Jazz and Megatron came out in 2019. Of course, there is the MPM 12 Optimus, but I don't really count him, especially if you're just looking at just Bay figures in the line. And since last year, I've been pretty strong on saying that I consider Blackout to be the best MPM, and at the very least, Bone Crusher is tied with him. I'm not sure if I can say for sure if Bone Crusher is better, but he's pretty damn close, because Bone Crusher is incredible. The vehicle mode is awesome. I love the weathered look. I really don't have any complaints here. I've seen some say that there's a bit too much undercarriage and whatnot. I really don't care. It looks great. Then the robot mode is spot on to the CGI model, and there really isn't much kibble. I mean, I guess there's a few things on his back, and I guess there's the stuff kind of on his butt, but like, even then, I don't really think those are a hindrance or an eyesore or anything. The articulation, like, it could be a bit better in the head maybe, and definitely in the hands, but otherwise, it's good. I love the accessories. The flame effect parts are awesome. I love the swappable face. It's just, he's so accurate. Like, it's really amazing how well they're doing on these lately, and just, I don't know, this is an incredible figure. Definitely get this guy. Even if you're not really a huge fan of the movies, I feel like Bone Crusher kind of walks that line for a lot of people, where I've seen plenty that don't even like the Bayverse, and they're still like, but Bone Crusher is pretty cool. And I mean, he's one of the more iconic Decepticons from that movie, despite his very limited screen time, just because of the bus scene that was shown in pretty much all of the trailers and ads back in the day. And of course, just being a memorable scene in general. But yeah, I think Bone Crusher easily deserves the number 2 spot. And at number 1, and I feel like this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, it's the 30DLX Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. I've stated this many times before. Revenge of the Fallen Megatron is not only my favorite Megatron design from the movies, but my favorite Megatron design, period. I fucking love this design, and I love 30, so it's just a match made in heaven. This thing, I was so giddy opening up this guy, because it's pretty much spot on. Like, there's nothing really that I can complain about. Like, his articulation, fantastic. The details, fucking incredible. The paint job, amazing. The only complaint that I have for this guy is I wish there was a way to have the fusion cannon without the sword, whether it's a case of unplugging the sword or having another piece to plug in so that, you know, there's not just like a hole left or something, or heck, maybe even having a whole other swappable arm. Maybe an LED in the cannon wouldn't have been bad either, but that's not something that I like need. It's been so fun for me to look over the details and just spot stuff and actually see how much of his 2007 design is still in there, especially with the chest. It's pretty cool. And yeah, this thing is just kind of for me like a dream come true. I love this figure. Very happy with this guy. This is easily one of the best things in my collection. It's a perfect representation of my favorite Transformers character and my favorite design for said character. You know, I love this thing. He's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that's been my top 10 for 2023. You know, the year's definitely had some good figures, and I'm very excited to see what 2024 holds. But tell me, what are your favorite figures from 2023? Let me know down in the comments, whether it's just one or a few, or if you even want to make your own top 10 list there. And before we go, I want to give a shout out to Schmoptimus Prime and Austin Gillis, you know, members of my Patreon. Please check that out in the link in the description, and thank you guys. As always, I want to give a big thanks to everyone for watching, and have a good one.